Hi, I'm Cara Van Schalkwyk and I'm going to be presenting my presentation poster for you today. The educator I've chosen is Professor John Hattie. There's a photo of him over there. And John Hattie is the founder of Visible Learning, and this is pretty much one of the steps that John Hattie uses in order for students to be successful in their learning. And he wants students to have the power to learn and be in control of their own learning and set their own goals. So I've used that as my example. Walt on the left side of the poster is "we are learning to," so the students then know what it is that the question is, and that's going to guide them in the right direction. If we go over to Wolf, which is "what I'm looking for," that's when the students can look back and see, have they answered the questions on the Walt, and have they actually achieved what they were hoping to achieve. You'll notice there's a lot of colour because visible learning is about the students. It's their own way of learning and it's them being in control. So if you want to ask a question to a student, you'd get them to say, what are we learning to? And this can be, you can use fractions. This is just an example. I've used it as our research project. And then on the Wolf side, if it was a fraction poster, for instance, they would have on the Wolf side what I'm looking for, and they could give you examples of what fractions look like in their eyes. And then as a teacher, you've also got the opportunity to monitor their progress and give them ideas and give them feedback. Also, one of John Hattie's very important strategies is giving positive feedback all the time. He also suggests that we encourage students to have their own growth mindset, that students can persevere, they can make mistakes. It's something we've got to allow students to do in order to learn. They get inspired, they can learn anything they want to. They're very, very much in charge of their own learning. Okay, over here I've printed off some copies, some pictures of what visible learning looks like in a classroom, and it's very similar to the poster we have here. So they connect and they extend, and that's pretty much the same as the Walt and the Wolf. We then have one of the next parts of visible learning is working in groups, which is collaborative learning. There's a perfect example. This happens very often in classes these days, of students being in charge of their learning and sharing their ideas. We have another way of, this is used quite often in schools as well these days, especially schools that are incorporating visible learning. And this is the students setting their own goals. And this is an example of a personal, well, not experiment, but this is my son's work, and the school that he goes to, they use visible learning in the classroom. And what he's done is, he's got over here, writing is one of my favorite subjects because I like using real people's perspective. But he's also set himself a goal, and he says he still needs to write neater and to recheck his sentences. And the teacher can monitor his progress through those. He's also got, this year I'm going to complete all my goals, like reading, spelling, maths and writing. So there's various ways that you can actually incorporate visible learning in your classroom. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.